So I'd like to draw this chest bone. Ignore the beautiful shadows now, we'll be dealing with them in a separate lesson. Let's focus on the shape of the chest piece now. Believe it or not, most artists spend at least half of their time in the creative process with observation, analysis and thinking. And only in the rest they actually make the strokes. We will follow a similar process. We will repeat the sequence over and over. Observe, analyze and draw. In these drawing exercises, I'll spend a little bit more time with drawing than a sketch would require. Also, I'll be more accurate than a simple sketch would require. The reason is because I think it's better to see how you can reach a higher level of accuracy where you can descend from anytime. Now let's get into it. The first thing I'd like you to realize is where the horizon line is. It is somewhere here because we see this color pretty much from the side. Its base and top are basically horizontal lines, while the other circular shapes are ellipses in this viewing angle. So I draw the horizon line. The horizon line helps me to remember that ellipses below that will curve downwards, because we are looking at them from above. As I mentioned earlier, if you see a relatively complex 3D object, you can always break it down into simple elements like lines and 2D shapes, so you can draw it more easily. Let's do that. We have a circle at the top. This is kind of a thin, horizontally placed rectangle. We have a beautiful S-curve over here. At the bottom, we have several ellipses. We have learned to draw each of these elements, so we just need to put the puzzles together. First, I mark the top of our subject. I use very light strokes. I will decide later which one to keep. I also mark the bottom. The circle is tangent to the horizon line, so I draw this horizontal as well. I draw the circle lightly. This is a symmetrical shape, so I mark the center axis with dashed line. And I draw this vertical axis right here. Actually, the horizon line is located a little bit lower. Let me draw that. The color will be somewhere here. Now let's see how the side of this color relates to the side of the circle. Something like this. Similarly on the other side. You can simplify this curve drawing a little circle. I gently draw over the curve of the head. In the meantime, I erase some of the construction lines. You don't necessarily have to, I just want to make the area clear. Now let's deal with the bottom ellipses. Let's find their outer edges. You can do this in several different ways. Now I check its relation to the contour of the top circle. It will be an angle like this. Now I draw the bigger ellipse. and a little bit smaller one. Let's try to copy this S-curve. I'm using very light pressure on the paper, my hand is loose. I'm trying to be as fluid as possible. Here we can notice another curve bending in this direction. Let's copy these curves to the other side. It's not easy to mirror these curves, I know. I draw the lower part of this third ellipse. And I emphasize the other ellipses a little bit more. It seems that the vertical axis is a little bit off. Let me fix that. Nope, let's try again. I draw this vertical slowly. Now it looks okay. Now I think it's time to finalize the contours over here. I draw these darker strokes slowly. Alright, this S-curve looks pretty decent. I continue with the top. Good. Now let me erase these construction lines. I'm still not satisfied with the bottom right. Let me fix that. I think it's better now. Well, I consider this one as finished. Let me mark the horizon line with red. Notice that you can draw a complex 3D form like this without knowing anything about three-dimensionality or perspective. You can simply break the subject down into simple 2D shapes and draw them paying attention to their orientations. But you can create much better drawing if you are aware of the volume of these forms. So I'm drawing some of the cross-contour lines of this object to illustrate its three-dimensionality. The cross-contour, which is right in the middle, will be a straight line. With the next vertical cross-contour line, I try to follow the volume of the subject. As I move to the side, the curves bend more and more. Now what about the horizontal cross-contour lines? The one located at the same level as the horizon line will be a straight horizontal. Above the horizon line, on the surface of the sphere, they will start to bend. Below the horizon line, they also bend, but in the opposite direction. Something like this. Now try to draw this pawn if you haven't done so. The goal is not perfection, just try to follow my guidelines. If it takes half an hour to complete, that's okay too. Once you have enough practice behind you, this drawing with this level of accuracy will take 5 minutes top. If you simplify it, it can be done in a minute or so. Have fun with it.